You're walking in your garden and you stand on some dog poo and you scream, "That bloody dog!" And you're blaming the dog. But did the dog stand in the dog shit, or did you stand in it? Maybe you were wearing your new shoes and you stood in it. Maybe you were wearing your old shoes. Maybe you were barefoot. Whatever the case is, the stuff can be washed off. I find the easiest way is to put the shoes somewhere for them to dry and then to poke the stuff off with a stick or potentially do some water. The point is that it's so easy to blame. This also happens when you're walking around the neighborhood. Maybe you stand in some dog poo. You say, "That bloody neighbor." But who stood in the dog poo? Who needs to take responsibility for standing in the dog poo? You do. I do. We have people walking around with bags. And I carry the bags as well. And if the dog poos in the middle of a path or the middle of the road or somewhere where it's easier for someone to walk on the poo, then I clean it up. But if the dog poos in a bush or in a tree, then I just leave it. It's good nutrition for that bush or that tree, and no one's going to stand in it. You go to the field where you walk your dogs, and it's likely that you might stand in some dog poo. So you must prepare your mind for this. If you go walking on the promenade on the beach, then obviously if you take your dog, you must take a bag because you know that lots of people are walking there and they're not prepared to walk in dog poo because that's not the appropriate place for the dogs to poo. But if they poo, you clean it up. So we have norms that we apply. And we apply them where people are walking a lot. And we apply them in the road and we apply them on the footpath. But if we happen to stand in a dog poo, we must say, "Oh shit, I stood in a dog poo, I'll deal with it. I'll clean it up." But to scream and shout and get cross with a dog that you don't know or a human that you don't know and say, "That bloody human, that idiotic dog," when it's not the dog or the human that's directly responsible. Maybe indirectly responsible, but directly responsible. You stood in the dog poo. I stood in the dog poo. Maybe it's a smelly, horrible business, but it's a natural thing that everybody does, including you and me. And we need to take responsibility for this. This is part of the blame video series I'm making. I made a very short video yesterday, and perhaps I'll be making longer and longer videos on blame.